It is snowing. So the day that I'm recording this, it's actually Halloween, so October 31st. You're not going to be listening to it for a bit yet, but we are getting our first snowfall. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a good example to talk about embracing the different seasons of life on a time when we're actually getting ready for a new actual season and moving into winter soon, which I am admittedly not prepared for yet. Like, I still would like some more fall. But today I want to talk about embracing these different seasons. And this has actually been something that has been popping up for me over the last couple of months. So I want to share a couple things with you in regards to embracing different seasons of life that you might want to be in. So for a little bit of context, you know, from a business perspective, let's just say, when I started my business, one of the things that, different business coaches or different groups that I was a part of would talk about was about knowing when you're in like a launch season. So like when you're getting ready to launch a program or a product, and then when you're in more of a nurture or a content season where you're not necessarily like selling or pitching anything outright. And it's the same thing in our careers. You might have like busy seasons that you're in and then slow down seasons. And so that's just kind of something that we all experience. And at the same time, I really, the last few months, have been thinking about, and a lot of it's been coming up because of just, how I have felt with things and also different conferences and events. This has actually been a theme that a lot of speakers have been talking about, or it's just like the thing that I'm pulling out. I always think it's interesting, like you will find more of the thing that you really need. So when you hear somebody speak, you could hear them speak multiple times, but depending upon what you need at that time or what you're searching for at that time, you're going to pull out different pieces of what they say. And so what I've been pulling out a lot from different, conferences and speakers I've been hearing is around this idea of embracing these different seasons of your life. And I feel this so much because first of all, I think as a, high achiever, I always felt like I was just in this like run season. And if you're listening, that might be you, where you just feel like your season is always go. It's always the fast season. And on the other side of that usually is burnout, right? Whether, you've had a major burnout or just like these little mini burnout moments where you just feel like you're constantly running. And we were not designed to constantly be in that run season. And yet, because of who we are as people and also because of, society and that comparison of seeing other people, we feel like we need to always be in that run season, in that fast lane. And what we don't often see is that the people who are always in that fast lane are on the other side of it, maybe behind closed doors, really burnt out, or other things are falling apart, or we aren't actually, paying enough attention to see that they just came out of a slowdown season. And we just interpret that they're always in this go season. And so I've been thinking about this a lot because now I'm, 3.5, a little over 3 years into building my business. And I have been in such a growth year this year. And also it feels like it's always the fast lane. Like when you are marching towards a really big goal, you feel like you can't take your foot off the pedal and hit the gas at all. And we feel like that's what we need to do. Like, oh, if we slow down, I'm not going to have as much, results the next month. And what I'm finding is that I really need to embrace more of that. When is it time to speed up and when is it time to slow down? And I heard this said a few different ways. And so I want to share it with you. A recent conference that I went to, the host of the event said, really knowing when is it time, like maybe you're in the right lane and you've been kind of going slow. You have this big goal, this big thing you want to achieve, but you're not taking action on it. And you've been in that slow lane for a while. Maybe you're the one that's like, oop, I need to turn on my left blinker and I need to move over to the fast lane and I just need to go for it and I need to go. And at the same time, you might be the person who's been in that fast lane for a long time, and it's time to turn on that right blinker and move over to the slow lane and have a slow season. And know that by slowing down, you're not taking a step back. You're actually, it's almost like, or I've also heard, people compare it to like an arrow, right? You have to pull an arrow back in order for it to go forward. If we're constantly in that fast lane, we're just going and we're not looking around to see like, where am I? Where do I need to make changes? Or where am I maybe not as happy? Or what needs to change? And we don't always like take the time to look around versus if we were in that slower season. And I've been thinking about this a lot for myself in as I move into, more of the winter season, trying to intentionally create more space to move into that slower season so that early next year I can speed up again. And for me, and I'm just like kind of sharing with you in the messy middle because that's a hard thing for me. Like I like to go and go and go and I enjoy it and I love what I do. And that's just kind of always been my personality. And at the same time, I find when I go, 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 I don't always execute on the things in the way that I want, or I might not, I might swing too far one way. Like for me, one thing I always balance as being a business owner now is trying to find time to do stuff around the house and hang out with the family and do things that I enjoy. And so I'm finding like, ooh, I actually feel like I'm in this season where I want to embrace that slow down season. I want to move to the right lane. And I've got, current commitments and current things that feel good right now for this season. And my autopilot would be like, ooh, let me try and get a little bit more. And what I've been really doing, which is quite uncomfortable, is going, nope, I'm not going to take on any more beyond what I already committed to in this season so that I can be more intentional and planful going into next year. Because one thing is, if you're like in a growth phase in your career, in your business, in your personal life, is you're just like going and you might not be taking the time to be as planful. So for me in my business, I want to be more planful going into next year about when I'm launching things, about, how many speaking engagements I want, how many one-on-one clients I want, when I want to launch my Speaker Academy program, and having more intention behind it and responding to those things. And so I know that I need this. And with that said, it does not mean it doesn't suck. That it's uncomfortable. Like I have these moments where I'm going like, wait, why am I not, speaking about this? Why am I not selling anything right now? It's like, no, I'm in this slowdown season. Another way that they've said it is like when you're in that yes season versus that no season. And sometimes you're in that season where you just need to say yes, like say yes to all the opportunities, say yes to the events, say yes to those connection calls. And then also knowing when does it need to be a no season. And that can be even harder, is knowing when, no, I can't come to that event. No, I can't come to that, networking thing. No, I can't have a connection call right now because I'm creating space. And so this has been something that I've really been navigating. I did an episode a couple weeks ago on decluttering, and it kind of is all coming in at the same time, right? So I have these things that I've committed to doing already, and decluttering, my business and decluttering spaces in the house and getting organized is all part of that. And knowing that this is this season, and that's okay, and then I'm intentionally choosing it. And with that said, the other thing I want to say is sometimes we are sort of forced into a season. So you might be forced into a slowdown season because of something that happened, a health thing or a family thing, and how to come to terms with, okay, this is just the season I'm in. Or maybe you're in a really tough season. And I just want to say to you is, again, it is a season and the seasons change. I can tell you that because it was just warm out not that long ago and now it's snowing. It can happen like that. And so the seasons will change and you're not going to be in that season forever. And so maybe I'm just talking to myself here. Maybe I'm just reminding myself, and hopefully in me doing so, you're picking up on this. But I just wanted to remind you, first of all, seasons change. And if you're in a really tough season, there is another side. There is another season coming. And also, I want you to sit there and think about, what season do you need right now? Maybe you have been in that fast lane and now it's the season of moving into the slow lane. Or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe you've been sitting there in the slow lane. Maybe you've been sitting there in the no to things because you're scared, because you're worried, because everything's not lined up perfectly, but you feel that pull to be a yes. And maybe you need to get that kick in the pants and go, okay, this is my season. So I really want you to think about and reflect, like, what season are you in right now? What do you need right now so that you can, really get that momentum moving forward? I'd love for you to share with me what you took away from this and your thoughts on if this resonated with you and if you've ever thought about it this way. Because I know for me, it's really been something top of mind the last few months that I've been journaling on and writing about and thinking about. It's like, ooh, what season am I in right now? What do I need right now? And maybe it's a no right now because of the season, but it's going to be a yes, next year or in the next season. All right. Hopefully this helps you. And I would love to hear from you what season you're in, what landed for you, and what are you going to do to be more intentional about preparing yourself going into next year.